in quarantine times, we are all walking around like Dan
furry faced.
Hello.
Like the shaving that I have to do on my own now, because I am a woman of a certain age, and at a certain point, you get a little lip hair and a little chin hair.
Yeah, I mean, I do, and I'm a woman of a certain age as well, and I'm like, to hell with it. Here comes the mustache. Forgo the lipstick, because who's looking at this?
Oh my God! And the most irritating thing I do is I reflexively put lipstick on when I'm leaving the house. It's a reflex because I've been doing it for 40 years.
Mm-hmm. Well, hello, people. Nice, welcome.
People.
There's our favorite David Hamilton, Valerie Banks. Hello, nice to see you.
Oh, there's people coming in.
Yes, they're listening to y'all talk about your chin hair.
Hey.
Listen. Hey, everybody. Okay. Hello, David Hamilton.
Donald Thomas, cool. Ellen Wessel, Jennifer Obakum, Nicole Lopez. Oh, nice. Tamara Kay.
We have a nice group. I'm excited.
Hello.
I'm excited.
It'll be a lovely conversation.
Here we are with the lovely Carla Stilwell. And we're just rapping and vamping for about another minute, and then we're going to kind of get this show on the road.
Rapping and vamping.
Bum, 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 bum.
Bananas. It's bananas. Well,
B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
Well, Esteban, thank you for hosting. You were on as a guest and then you hosted 3 times?
Yes, that is correct.
So hopefully you'll come back as a host down the road.
I would love that.
I hope so. These have been great. Great. Thank you.
The Arts with Estie.
The Arts with Estie. I have to write you a song. Most of my songs all sound the same. This is my song. Da, 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 da.
Welcome. Hello. Stop being funny. Stop amusing everyone. I'm kidding. Hello, I'm Rachael Patterson. I'm the director of Acting Studio Chicago. I'm so glad that you are back and here with us. I am delighted that we have Miss Carla Stilwell with us tonight of the Stillwell Institute for Black Contemporary Art. Contemporary Black Art. The Stillwell Institute for Contemporary Black Art. That's the one, not the other way. Welcome. And we were just talking, one of our earlier guests, I think it was actually in our second week, Nick Whitcomb, who's an actor and a director and an associate casting director at PR Casting. He was a guest and he was a fellow of the Institute last year. So I'm really, really interested in hearing how you support artists and how that fellowship works and what it entails. So I think that'll be really interesting for everybody to listen to. And I just wanted to say, briefly, if you all go to, and Estie will tell you because it would be great, these are all free webinars, but if you would like to go to the website, the Stillwell Institute for Contemporary Black Art, you can make a donation. ASC is making a donation in Esteban's name and in Carla's name to the Institute, and you are all welcome. I'm sure even $5 or $10 would be more than welcome. Yeah. And so on the website, there's a lot of information, and I think the website's it's going to be revamped, Carla was saying.
It is under construction as we speak. The website that's up now is functioning, but it's going to get more exciting in the next couple of weeks.
And that is a lot of work. But I was reading about the history and what inspired Carla to start the Institute. And I just want to say, it's a beautiful passage that you wrote about your mother on the website. And I think she's your inspiration, and inspiration, I think, for the Institute. And she talks about her mother, Charlene Carter, who against many odds was compelled and created art every day, almost every day of her life, which is really inspirational. And she modeled for her children, the fact that art equals survival. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation, and I'm really looking forward to hearing more about how art is a survival tool, because we certainly need all the survival tools we can get these days. So I'm excited to listen to this conversation. I just want to say real quick before I pass the virtual mic over to Estie that next week, Adria Dawn will be back and she'll be hosting for a few weeks. And next week we have Alex Pisios. I'm probably mispronouncing his name. He is the owner and CEO of Cinespace. So next week we have face-to-face with Cinespace, which should be really interesting as they talk about going back to work, at least the television industry and how that's going to work in Chicago. I know Fargo's getting ready to go back, so he'll have a lot of information for us actors. I know, it's scary, but thank you again for being with us. I know you're a busy lady, and so I really appreciate your time. Thank you, Estie. And now I'm gonna pass over the virtual mic. I am making you the person with all the power. You are now the official host.
You can
have
feel
a great
it.
conversation. I'm gonna go watch. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Rachel. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. And I know she mentioned that you can make a donation, and that website is the stillwellinstitute.org. They're revamping the website, and we'll have a new one, a new flashy, sexy thing up there soon. But you can still make donations right now. So thank you for that. Carla Stilwell!
That's my name, baby.
I'm so excited. And like, I think we have the same condition where our lives are a musical. And so everywhere we go and everything we do,
Everything is a song.
What are you talking
I sing about it.
Oh my goodness. Okay, we are going to try our best to stay focused because Carla and I can just have a kiki and be silly the whole time, and that's what we're about. But we're also about other things, and uplifting Black and brown voices is another thing that we have in common that I love about you, that really inspires me. And throughout your history, you have done so much for the Chicago arts community.
Aww.
and centrally focused within the Black experience and in Black communities. And that is so important, so necessary. While we have several artists, you know, myself being one of them, who have gone on and ascended within like colonial white theater, it's really great to know that there are artists and institutions that have always been rooted in the Black tradition, in the Black stories, and in Black communities. So on behalf of the entire community and for being a crown jewel in the art scene of Chicago, thank you for all of the work that you do. And that extends in so many different directions. And the Stillwell Institute is just the most recent incarnation of the work that you do for the city and for these communities. Because before that, you were the artistic director for Impact.
I was.
For how many years was it?
I was a company member and development person, managing director for 15 years. No, for 10 years at Impact. And then I was the artistic director until my tenure ended in 2018. And you know, I say it like that because, so all together, I was with Impact for 22 seasons.
Yeah. That's I mean, that's just want to pause right there for a second. Please continue in a moment. But like, to be part of an institution and to be part of so many integral moving pieces of that institution on all levels, like you put your stank on it. You know?
I left white theater as a young 22-year-old girl. I ran from white theater because my race politics have, like, the world has caught up to my race politics. Yeah, a friend of mine says this about me. My best friend says that he was raised culturally Black, but I was raised politically Black. My house was very, very dark skinned. And my mother put me in this Catholic school over here on the south side of Chicago that was predominantly Black. And we had these lovely nuns and priests who, for whatever reason, decided that it was their job to make sure Black history was taught and important to us. So I was raised very politically Black. And when I left, and I went to Columbia College. I was a theater and music major at Columbia in the early 90s. Because I'm old. And it started with Sheldon Patinkin, you know. When he passed, people loved and adored him, but he was horrible to me.
Oh, shit.
He was horrible. He was horrible to me. The whole experience, if it were not for Paul Carter Harris and Chuck Smith, I probably would have dropped out the program. It was deeply racist. And it was very interesting when he passed, because he and I had come to a place of mutual respect as artistic equals. But it was very interesting for people to go on and on about how amazing he was. And I'm like, that man was racist. He said in my very first, jury, I guess is what you call it, my very first day where we all had to perform for the head of the theater department. And I think it was my second semester. I was in a character class, and he looked at the 5 Black kids in there and said, y'all have an African-American Midwestern twang that will not allow you to be successful as actors.
Wow.
And Cecily O'Reilly, if somebody knows where she is, if she's still with us, please tell that woman she saved my life. Because I was about to, because I'm a little Black girl from the south side of Chicago, I was about to go ham. And she put her nails in my shoulder and dug into me. and because she saw me rocking back and forth, and she dug into me. And when he left, she threw me up against the wall, like in the collar, and said, "Don't you ever let anybody ruin your opportunity."
Whoa.
She said, "You have perfect comedic timing. You're an amazing actor. Do not let that man bait you." Best thing that ever happened to me. That woman saved, Cecily O'Reilly saved my artistic life. So I was already very uncomfortable with the racism. And then when I got out here in these Chicago theater streets, I was like, oh, y'all racist. Okay, I see. So I went and I found this Black organization that was doing African-centered, because it's the Ma'at Production Association for African-Centered Theater. And I fell into this world with these like-minded Black folks that were doing new work solely written by people of the African diaspora. And I was like, well, this is my home. This is where I belong. And that is where I sat and worked with new playwrights and actors and, and learned how to be something other than an actor. That's where I started writing. That's where I learned that I could direct. So that was my home. And then in 2018, I lost my second sister. My 2 oldest sisters were now gone at this point. And I was like, I can't be restrained anymore. Because when you're at the head of an arts organization, you have to think about all the other people that work there. Yeah. So you can't talk about Carrie Reed and her racism, or what's his name, Chris and Hetty, and you can't talk about these people because you don't want to. And Carrie, I thought me and her had a different understanding, but she showed her Karen colors recently. She really Karen. But I can't say those things when I am connected to this organization where actors are dependent on these reviews and, can't talk about the Jeff Committee and that racism. Like, you couldn't talk about these things. And after I lost my second sister, I was like, I will not live another day where I cannot fully express my personal displeasure with the way my art is bastardized, with the fact that these predominantly white arts institutions need to be defunded in a lot of ways. I can't talk about this. I can't talk about funding structures. I can't do all of this if I stay with Impact. So I left because I just decided to go rogue. And because God is good, then, you know, whatever God you pray to, the God of your understanding, if you listen to he will answer. Within 24 hours of me walking away from Impact, I got a call from a gentleman named Matthew at the experimental station in Chicago.
Yeah.
And he said, I heard about your organization, and I was wondering if you wanted to do an arts residency, if Impact wanted to do an arts residency. And I said, I don't know what Impact wants to do. I left yesterday, but I do. So, and that is when I was like, wouldn't it be nice if every Black artist, because they gave me a residency to create a work about racism and about race relations in the city. And I said, wouldn't that be fucking awesome if I could do that in mass or in some form for other Black artists, especially emerging artists. And I start thinking about my mama.
Yes.
So, my mama, Charlene Carter Stillwell, was born in 1954. And no, she was born in 1935. In 1954, she was graduating from high school. And my mother had been she's a seamstress. She's the kid that used to melt down her crayons on the radiator because they weren't the right color. So she would melt them down to make the right color. Like, she was always that person. And she went to her mom, to my grandmother, who was born in 1907 right outside Tupelo, Mississippi. Her father was the first person in our family born free in 1870.
Wow.
And so her kid comes to her and says, I want to go to the Art Institute. And my grandmother says, you can go to learn to be a secretary so you can get a job. You know?
Yeah.
She was born to sharecroppers in 1907. Yeah. She ain't know nothing about that. But my mother never stopped creating, ever. And she never told my sisters and I, she never tried to make us into her. She never tried to get us to be artists, but just the way she moved, she painted, she drew all the time. She created, I was just telling you all earlier, like, I hate the smell of Play-Doh. I've always hated it. So my mother would make me Play-Doh. She was like, you don't have to, Carla, you don't have to smell it. Don't worry about it. I'll make you some. Like, you know, like, that's who she was. And so me and all my sisters are artists. My two oldest sisters who have passed, both played classical instruments. Sharon spoke 5 languages. The one that passed in 2018, she spoke 5 languages and taught English in Spain and played classical violin. And my sister Robin was a photographer and played trombone. And Angela played the flute and wrote poetry and has published poems all over the place. So she modeled that for us. And I was like, gee, that's who I want to give money to. These emerging artists, these women of a certain age, these men of a certain age that did not get a chance to dibble and dabble. On artists that have been trying to move this way and that, but haven't quite had that last step where somebody records all their work, where somebody, you know, gives them a professional cut of a performance, where somebody just gives them money to do some Black shit. Like, just go. Like, I don't think, literally, I don't think white people understand the privilege and just being able to, I'm going to make a bust of some fruit. Like, whatever you feel like doing. And that's art. Yeah. Black and brown folks, the BIPOC community doesn't really get the opportunity to make some art.
Yeah.
And when I say Black art, I mean any art I make is Black. Just because it doesn't have to be red, black, and green. It doesn't have to have a power fist on it. If I make a bust of a piece of a banana, it is Black art because my Black arse made the bust of the banana.
Girl!
You know, so that's what I wanted to give. That's the freedom. That's the luxury that I want to try to give Black artists, specifically those in mid-career and those that did not get the opportunity like I did. Because, you know, my mom was like, go major in theater,
Yeah.
run with, dance with something. Go do like my mother, and that was a gift.
Yeah.
Because she was an artist, like deep down in her shondo, you know, like that's who she was. That's how she breathed. So, yeah. Oh, I've talked a long time. Okay.
I know. Listen. That is what this is for, and we are all like, nom, 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 nom. When E.F. Hutton talks, people listen.
I will
Same thing
talk.
with Carla Stilwell. I know you can talk, girl. That's why I wanted you here. I just wanted to just Charlene. Karen.
Okay, so here are my ancestors.
Okay.
My grandmother, who I slept in the bed with till I was 7, was Dora Carter. That's Charlene Carter Stillwell's mother.
Okay.
My father was Raymond David Stillwell. Rest his ridiculous soul. I loved him. I was born on his birthday, but he was ridiculous. And I used to say it to him because I was born on his birthday. So I was one of the few people that could tell him he was a ridiculous. It's a whole lot of words I'm not gonna say. And then my 2 oldest sisters were Robin and Sharon.
And Angela. Who's Angela?
Angela is the one that's still with me.
Okay, good.
That's my boo. I just sent her, just off topic, I sent her birthday is on the 24th. And I'm so bad. I don't like to wait for people's birthday. I start sending stuff. So today I sent her, we love the Muppets. We are big fans of the Muppets. So I sent her a shirt mask combination of the Swedish Chef that says Vert de Vert. So yeah, so that's my boo. So
everyone has a Muppet, and I always identify with Janet because in the Muppets Take Manhattan or the Great Caper, I remember when they go into New York and they go into the lockers in the subway and they use them like little apartments, and she pops out of hers and she's like, I'll trade with anyone who's got a jacuzzi. So I totally identify with Janet. Who is your Muppet?
I am Miss Piggy kind of girl. I tell people all the time that I am a combination between Miss Piggy and Green M&M. Like that's how I rock. But I gets down with Miss Piggy. But my sister is about the Swedish Chef. That is her mort. Like when the Muppet Show used to come on, my sister's 8. This is the thing. My mother had 3 families. My sisters are 19, 18, and 8 years older than me.
Wow.
So it was those oldest 2. Then it was Angela for a while by herself, and then it was me. But me and Angela, we spent the most time together in the house at the same time. Mm. And when the Muppet Show came on, we were watching, and my sister was mork. So I saw that shirt. I was like,
oh my God.
Then she put it on today and took a picture. My shirt, yay!
Okay, we're going to have a whole separate show where we just talk about the Muppets because we can do that.
I am a Muppet fan.
But I love this and the work that you're doing, and we just started talking about your resume with the Institute, and I love that it's for emerging artists who weren't given that opportunity because, and something that you said, which is something I know that we both strongly believe not in, which is that art is a luxury, and that art is for the privileged, and that art is something that you go to and experience once a year when you can afford it. So I know that you feel differently about that. And what's if it's not a privilege, what would you describe art as?
Art is a right. Art is your God-given right. And I think I mean, like, dead ass, art is a right.
Dead ass.
I have been through so much loss. I have gone through so many things, and I'm not the only person. We all have struggles and personal issues, external things that happen to us. If it were not for the theater, because I already been on the couch and had to take some pills, because I think that's healthy to go lay on the couch and talk to somebody and take a pill if you need to. But if it were not for my art, I did my show. My mom died on a Friday while I was on stage, and I went and did my show Saturday. And I had to. I had to. And it made it right. and my art community made it right. You know, art is a right. It's not a gift. It's not a privilege. It's not all of these things that we've been told that, you know, that it's something that you major in accounting, then you play with art. My art has fed me, clothed me. My art has bought my sister that the fruit, you know, my art because I give to my art what it deserves.
Yeah.
And it gives back to me. It is my life. It is my career. It is my business. And it is my right to do it.
I love that.
And as people of color, we are not told that it is our right. We are told that it's something you get around to. We're told that it's a hobby for people who can afford the luxury. Even the funding structure in theater is set up for people who have the luxury of opening an arts institution. Because if I have a board where my uncle is a doctor and my other uncle is a lawyer and my great aunt just got money and so I got $100,000 coming in the door, I'm already, no matter if I got my 501c3, once I get my 501c3 stuff laid out, I'm already in another bracket, right? On another level with funders, because now I'm serious. But the little engines that got out of school and have thousands or hundreds of dollars worth of student loans and are just trying to start this thing and don't have those resources and don't have generational wealth, their arts institution, the funding institutions are telling them, well, you're not worthy yet.
Right. And then, yeah.
So, I mean, just that there's just disparity on top of disparity on top of disparity. And I just felt like it was my job, my calling to address it the way I could. And that's to try to find the resources to give my people to make their art.
This opportunity you are providing for these artists is coming at a stage in their life when their careers are just beginning, and it's as adults, it's as people who are just emerging and just finally getting the calling, and finally, because like a lot of people will go their whole life and never even know what the vision is for their life or what their artistry is. So many people in our industry as actors, they're mill about letting auditions and other people dictate what their art should be by what jobs they get. And they never look at their career as something from their own perspective, from their own core values and for their own beliefs, and then say, I want to do this. You know, it's very rare that we have people that do that. So that you're helping these people at that point. How early in one's life, would you expect someone to be introduced to the arts or find a calling or an engagement? How early do you think we can get them?
I started acting when I was 10 because I was a whole fool from the whole vagina. I came out this way. Like, I'm a whole fucking fool. Like, I came out ignorant. My first Christmas play in kindergarten, Brent Kramer could not say his line. He was one of the shepherds, and he could not get the line out. Let's go find the baby Jesus. I was frustrated. My nerves were bad. I was standing there. I was one of the shepherds. I didn't have a line. He couldn't say it. And Miss Shallow must have seen it on my face. She said, Carla, can you say this line? Let's go find the baby Jesus. I was hooked ever since. I told my mom when I was 10, I found an acting class. I was like, I want to take this. Because Fame was on TV and shit. Star Search.
Oh my God. Putting on the Lips. Do you remember that show, Putting on the Lips?
And then, you know, it was solid gold. I had a choreography. You don't know nothing about me and my choreography. So I started as a child. When you were talking, I was thinking about my two fellows this year. One is Donna Adams, and the other one is Jamie Black. And Jamie Black is an actor in the city, and a lot of y'all know Jamie because he's amazing. And so what we're doing with Jamie is we're doing the Southeast Performing Arts Festival. So it's going to be the weekends of September 11th and September 18th.
Oh, yes.
Yes, we're going to have 6 artists that we are sponsoring. Dancer, we have a Cuban dancer and some vocalists and some comedians. It's going to be great. And it's going to be a virtual event, and it's going to be free to the public the first day. Lovely. But my other fellow, Donna, is a sculptor. And COVID ruined her art fair that we were going to do. We couldn't do her art fair. But Donna used to be the popo. She was the hall police for like years. Like, she was the hall police officer. She's about this big, which is so funny because she's this big and she's the scariest person I've ever met in my life. Like, I'm not scared of shit, but I'm a little scared of Donna. But she was like, I always did art things. I always made baskets. I always created and this, that, and the third. And her daughter is a comedian and an artist. And it's kind of like my mom was, because my mom worked at the post office. Like, and she was like, so I retired because Donna had, you know, a different kind of financial setup where she could retire and just do her art. She bought a kiln. Like, she's serious. She's dead ass. And I can't wait for the new website to launch in a few days because her work is magnificent. And so I have pictures of her work on the site, and her work will be for sale on the site as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's a really, really great thing about the Stillwell Institute as well, is that because when I first read it, I was like, oh, contemporary Black art. She moved from theater into a new medium, and now she's just with visual art. And so I was like, what a cool transition. But no, you actually encompass all art and any discipline that's pretty bad. How do you find the because obviously if it has to do with theater or performance, or even if it's like dance or something, I'm sure it's so close to theater and performance art that we're but like are you also a visual artist? Do you dabble in? Absolutely
not. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler. I am an analog girl in the digital world. Like, this is not my thing. I can't do none of it. One of my youth, I was like, you just got to come be my webmaster because they keep talking to me about this website. Now I don't do none of that, nothing like that. But my mother was a painter. Like, I love visual art. My niece is a painter as well. And I know a lot of artists across genres. And that was the other thing about it. Like, I felt like theater I was outgrowing it because it's not just about, the disparity is not just about one medium. Like, we as Black and brown artists have to have a paradigm shift across the board. We have to have a shift in the way that we put importance on our art. We have to shift the ideas of what art means as to our healing, to our emotional, spiritual survival. We have to start to honor that. And that's across, and the work has to be done across artistic genres because the healing has to be broad. Like, and it's healing to be able to love something, study it, go and find work that is something that you love, and grow your life and root your life and grow your life out of that beauty. Yeah. Like, it shouldn't be a privilege. It's a spiritual requirement.
Yeah. It sounds like what you're describing for me in kind of a microcosm is like the act of gardening, right? It's like you have these little seeds and you plant them, and it's a daily thing. You go out there and you take care of it, and then you reap what you sow, you harvest that, and then you eat from it, and it feeds you and it nourishes you. So
Right.
where you said that, art is a right, I would take it even a step further and say that it is essential to us as human beings. And we think of it in terms of rights, and not because of, especially as Black and brown people, the way that we're raised. I think everyone gets the talk of like, you really should major in finance or study, something, practical. Because anytime any parent hears, usually, not my parents, not yours, but usually they get like, I want to study poetry, I want to study art. No, it scares a parent, because they're really just, it's like, when you tell your parents that you're gay, it's not that they don't like gay people. It's just that they know that your life will be harder.
They're afraid for you.
They're afraid for you. They want to protect you, and they love you. And so sometimes we don't see that as love coming out. But sometimes we also don't see the ways that that we get harmed in the way that we are told how to be and how to move throughout this world, because of the inheritance we have as a subjugated class, of what our parents, I mean, for to be that close, to be in your lineage, to be close to the first freed slave in your family, like that's not that far away,
I try to explain this to people. So me and my sister got our DNA done a few years ago. DNA comes back 85.6% African, 13.7% Scandinavian and Irish, something weird. That's it. Like that's my genetic makeup. African from mostly Nigeria, Ghana, West Africa, right? I am a descendant of slaves. Like, I am a descendant of people that were kidnapped, who were tied in the bottom of ships, and that wasn't that long ago. My grandfather was born in 1870, 5 years after the war. He was the first. He was the youngest and the first. All the records, I have found all of those. He's the youngest and the first person in his family born free. That's not my great-great-great-grandfather. That's not my great-grandfather 8 times removed. That's my great-grandfather. That's the woman that raised me, my nanny, my mother, the woman who I slept in the bed with till I was 7. That woman's father was the first person born free. His family had been bred. He was, close your eyes. That's how dark my great-grandfather was. Like, he was because his people had been bred. Like, and my grandmother grew up on the land that they were slaves on, because they just started sharecropping. They didn't leave. They just started sharecropping. My grandmother grew up in the house where her father was born, where her grandmother was a slave. Like, this is not this, and this is why I'm glad white people have finally discovered racism. They Columbus everything else. I'm just glad they got to racism. Oh, man, we got to be thankful for the little things. White people have discovered the racism.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing. God bless you. I'm not mad. I'm glad we're here. But I think that people have to understand that for my grandmother born in 1907, who migrated, worked jobs, her and her husband worked jobs to get to Chicago, because my people were part of the Great Migration. Like, this shit is not like a game. This is my history. Like this, y'all are just finding this stuff out. That's great. But I tell people, first civil rights laws were signed in 1965. My sister was born August 24th, 1965. The one that's walking around that looks just like me, because her skin is still snatched too. I can't stand it. Skin just butter with her old self. I can't stand it. But like, she's walking around in her Victor shirt, like she's a vibrant human being. And she was born she was born a few months after it was no longer cool to have black and white water fountains. Like,
yeah.
I think that the historical perspective is important when we talk about the inequities in art, because those are the things that keep Black and brown people from really fully embracing their right to be artists. Because I couldn't argue with, if I had had the conversation that my mother had with my grandmother about college, I couldn't have argued with that woman. Like, what you gonna tell the woman born in 1907 in Mississippi, you gonna go be in theater? Like, huh? That shit didn't make no sense to her.
Oh my God.
But the truth of the matter is, it shouldn't have made sense to my mother. My mother was just an aggressively artistic spirit that would not be squashed and you could not kill.
Yeah. Some people, it's just like you said, it's instinctive, and it's a means for survival. And I feel like for me, and maybe definitely for your mother, maybe for you, there's something in us that intrinsically we knew that it's do this art or die. Those are my only options. I don't have a plan B. There isn't anything about it. And so 5 years old, that's when I started, when I was 5. And it was here in Oak Park, Village Players. And I was Ignorance or Want, I don't remember, in the Christmas Carol. And I just, I had to do it. I had to get theater out. But my, my parents, my father, he gave me that thing because he came from Puerto Rico when he was 5 years old to the mainland as an American citizen and saw snow for the first time when he was 5. And so he carried with him, and he was coming right out of the gag law where you couldn't speak Spanish, you couldn't have a flag displayed in your house, and if you hummed the Puerto Rican national anthem, you could go to jail. So there was a big push to squash out any kind of Spanish and any kind of Puerto Rican identity in this thing. So there was a big push in my family to suppress my Latino that my, and like he didn't want it. We weren't raised speaking Spanish. I had to go fight for that and learn it on my own and get that shit because when we were growing up, if you spoke Spanish, people would look at you bad. It'd be harder to get a job. Look at us now. If you speak Spanish, oh my God, you get picked before somebody else. So I wish we had that insight and that wisdom then. But in a similar way, I was told you have to be twice as good as any white person just to get in the door. And what that does for a human, especially a little human, is that it makes you think that, number one, my best is not good enough. Number two, I cannot fail. And that, in that idea that you have to strive for this idea of perfection, it's inhumane. Because what is essential to being human is failure, is mistakes, and that's how we grow. So we're already set up in this paradigm of being immigrants in a country that we're already citizens of.
Can we just stop and remind the people that Puerto Rico is not another country?
It was for half a day. And the signing of the treaty, when the Spanish gave up, then the Americans came in and said, we conquered this land. So there was like one day.
Right.
So when we're talking about using art as a tool for healing, these are the traumas that we're talking about unlearning all those trainings that, though they didn't even intend them, sometimes it's our parents, sometimes it's our teachers, sometimes it's just the world around us that tells us that we are less than, that we don't deserve this, that art isn't a right of ours.
Right.
When we know that it's essential, just like breathing in water and having a roof over your head and food in your belly, that art, and plenty of people have survived on art and art alone when there was nothing. So I'm really, I'm so grateful for you and your work and getting this to them, and to these people in this community. And I really do believe that the children are our future.
Teach them well
and let them lead the way.
Show them all the beauty they possess inside.
Give them a sense of pride.
To make it easier.
So I think, Carla, the work that you're doing, it's so great. And as early as possible as we can share this knowledge and this wealth and this idea that these children are worthy, I think is imperative for building that future. In what you were talking about, in shifting that paradigm. Because there's a shift happening, you know, a big glacial shift where people are waking up to, oh, racism, it exists. That shift is happening slowly, but the shift that we can do is this realization and this work of like, nah, we deserve it. And
this is what I'm smelling what you're cooking. This is what I say about Barack Obama's presidency. Some of y'all, you know, got in your feelings about some of his politics. I don't feel the same way. I think the man was great. I think it's going to be Washington, Lincoln, Obama in that order in the history books. This is what I believe. You don't have to believe this with me. But here's what you need. But here's the truth. When he got that job in 2008, there was 2 generations of kids that don't know that glass ceiling. There were children that were born. There were children that were little bitty people, little bitty second graders and kindergartners and little tiny people. When that in 2008, there were people that were born in a world with a Black president.
Yeah.
And they won't know that that's a glass ceiling. When you and I were sitting around rocking back and forth on that November day in 2008, praying they didn't shoot that man.
And every day during his presidency,
like it was always like, oh Lord, is they gonna assassinate him? Oh Lord Jesus. Like I never thought I would see it.
Yeah.
But there's 2 generations of little people. There's some that were here and some that were born that year that will never know a world where it's not possible. And that's what his presidency was. I don't care about the rest of it. It was a paradigm shift. And that's why we have to give to Black artists. That's why we have to give to BIPOC arts institutions. Because if you want children to understand that this is an art form, that these art forms are their livelihood and can care for them spiritually and financially, you have to show it to them. And they have to see a preponderance of people of color actually doing their artistic work. They have to understand that the front-facing parts of our art are not the full totality of the work that they can do to feel fulfilled. One of my good girlfriend's husband, an African gentleman, made that glove for Thanos. He made the glove. He created, like literally, I tell people this all the time, my good girlfriend's husband made the glove. Made the Thanos glove. Like, they don't have to worry about money no more. Because he was the artistic engineer that created this beautiful, magical thing. And that's where the shift comes. We have to continue we have to buoy, especially now. All of it's been blown up. So let's just start over.
Beautiful. Oh my God, you are so inspired.
Let's just start over.
Start over. Let's build it. She builds me up.
Hey! More love than I ever need.
Oh my God. So our next episode is going to be just busting out Whitney jams. It's going to be a sing-along. You're all welcome to join.
Absolutely. And I also like to do dramatic readings of song lyrics. So we'll get that done too.
Oh my God. Girl, you're playing with fire right here.
Estie, we're doing
fire, to the limit, to the wall.
For a chance to be with you. All I do is sing all day.
Oh my God. I hate this quarantine. We need to drink together.
Absolutely.
So I want to just open it up real quick to our listeners and watchers. If you have any questions, I've been hogging up all this time with my delicious friend. But if you would like to ask Carla a question, please go ahead and put it in the chat box or on the Facebook Live. I'm not as good at that one, but put it in the chat box in the Q&A. Either one is fine. We can do either one. And again, if you'd like to donate to the Stillwell Institute, the website is the stillwellinstitute.org. And that would be wonderful. You'll be supporting the work of some really incredible artists. And a reminder too, that there are a couple of things happening through the Institute. Though we are in quarantine, you still can see and support the festival. Sorry, I'm going through the street fair.
No, we can't.
No.
With our street fair, we cannot. We're going to put stuff online, and we'll talk about that. But the street
We'll talk
fair,
about that. Just joking. Ha ha ha. I fooled you.
yeah, because of the quarantine. Quarantine took my street fair.
Fringe
The
Festival?
Fringe Festival, yes.
That
is
we
happening.
can talk about. That is
Yes.
happening. So the Black Fringe Festival is going to be in September at the Southeast Performing Arts Fair with Experimental Station. Would you mind telling us a little bit about that?
Well, here's the thing, because of the quarantine, we are moving that entire event online. It was slated to be at Experimental Station, which is my artistic home. Love them. But you can't have crowds, can't have groups, can't do all that. So what it will be, it will stream on the weekends of 9/11 and the weekends of 9/18 from the Stillwell Institute website. There will be all kind of details, and I will give them to everybody. But there are going to be 6 performers, and we will stream their shows 2 days at a time. There will be 2 performances a night, and the first showing of each of them will be free for you to log on and get some good free entertainment. After that, we'll be charging $10 a viewing so that the artist can walk away with like a tiny bit of money. And also the Stillwell Institute is paying a $500 stipend to each of those artists as well. So Jamie, as a fellow, because he's organizing and coordinating all of this, because this was his idea, the Stillwell Institute has given, the fellowships come with a stipend. So Jamie's received a stipend, and we are going to give the artists, because, you know, we want them to walk away with a copy of their work, really shot, really nice, a place where they can send people to go watch it, and some of the money and some proceeds from the event. So it will all be streamed, but it will be great.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much. And that's going to be again September 11th and 18th, those weekends, where we can check that out online at the stillwellinstitute.org. And it's really fantastic, what you've created with this fellowship, because not only is it a way to help emerging artists realize their vision for their art and themselves and their work, but also a means for that healing that we talked about. And also with that other thing that you were pushing, that you should be able to make a living at it, and walk away with something, so that it's also sustainable. So it's not that you just get this one shot and boom, you do your art and then that's it, and then good luck, you're on your own, kid. But no, you're gonna make some income from it, and you're gonna take this forward. So I love how your vision for the Institute is one that is sustaining artists in that way, and paying artists. Thank you so much for that. We love that. Thank you for paying artists. It's so wonderful.
Well, I would like to, before we go, thank the Field Foundation, Donnelly, the Neoteric Designs, who has done my websites, who's donated a lot of that work. Oh Jesus Christ, I'm missing a funder. Paul Angel Foundation, and Lawyers for the Creative Arts, for their kind, generous support, and for all of the little $20, $10, $5 donations. I get a lot of those, because we also want to make sure, listen, for $20, you can contribute. Like, I feel like, you know, like the DNC talks about, like the Democratic National Party. I don't, you know, you get donors, but if it's coming from the community and if it's coming from us, you don't need a lot to make a big impact. So.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yay.
Yay. Well, it's been really lovely having you on the show, and we have so many more songs to sing. We have so many references to...
I mean, it's the whole 80s. We have to get through at least from 82 to 85, when music was just ridiculous. Like, that's my favorite period. Like 82 to 85, it's just like, wow.
I want to take a minute or two and give much respect to the man who's made a difference in my world. That's actually much later. I'm sorry. I went to...
But listen, but I had to go there with it.
I love it. SMP. This is so wonderful. If I could beg one last thing of you,
yes.
I know right now a lot of artists are feeling verklempt, and that they're not able to do their traditional ways of showcasing their art, of acting, of being on stage, of going and shooting this thing and dancing in a ballet. What is the thing that you've been doing that has helped to sustain you during this quarantine time that you might give to other artists or even emerging artists that might help tap into that voice and that part of their spirit that needs tending to? What can you offer in isolation that might be helpful for people to sustain themselves in an artistic way?
Take advantage of social media. I have a whole fucking ball. I do all kinds of things. I get on Facebook and I'm like, and I literally do dramatic readings of songs because it's fun to me. Like, if, you know, go do some lives, find, like, you have to pivot, you know? We're at a place in this, if we get stuck in what it used to be, because we're never getting that back. You know, people think one day we'll all be, it'll never be a situation where you can put 300 people in a theater, 500 people, 1,000 people. Like, that's never, if that happens again, it'll be years from now.
Yeah.
So, but what we do have is these lovely digital platforms. Is it the same? Absolutely not. Do you feel the void of that interaction and that contact? But if you dance, dance. One of my little mentees, one of my kids, she's been trapped in the house with her 2-year-old. She's losing her mind. So she decided to open her garage, and she's a dancer and an actor. So she decided that I'm going to get in shape and I'm taking everybody with me. And so she started doing these Sunday morning, you know, workout sessions with a bunch of actors and stuff. And they have, and it's feeding her. Yeah. It's feeding her body. It's feeding her soul. Like, we actually have this great gift of media that we all have access to. When you and I were growing up, where everybody didn't have access to the media.
Now you got Frozen.
So
yeah,
there it is. So that's what I do, because I do this art, I do this high level executive director foolishness, but I'm still an artist. I still engage in my art. I still plan how to, right now I'm actually working on a radio play with someone. Like there are things, and it is there, and you have to find the thing that is comfortable for you. Just pivot. It's cool.
Yeah.
Mama, I'm gonna give you one last bit of advice from my mama, from Charlene. I'm gonna say it like my mother would say it. You know, Carla, you can be anything you want to be in this life, and you are as many things in this life as you call yourself. You want to be a dancer, dance. You want to be a singer, sing. You are what you call yourself. That's what my mama used to say to me.
Wow.
So,
that's brilliant. Thank you so much, Carla Stilwell.
Thank you. Oh, this was so fun.
Oh my God, you're amazing. We're gonna have our own separate private sesh where we just dramatically interp all the songs.
Oh, absolutely. We must do some 90s hip hop as well.
Awesome. I'm down.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I adore you too.
Guys. You have a lovely night, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Bye.
Bye.